What's up YouTube, Everything Apple Pro here, and today as promised, I'm going to be comparing iOS 9 final build to iOS 8.4.1. Is it faster on the iPhone 4S, 5, 5S, or iPhone 6? And the 6 and 6 Plus of course share the same processor. Sure, iOS 9 is pretty, it has a bunch of new features, but does it destroy your usability? Is it faster or is it slower? In my previous test, I was a bit disappointed, but today iOS 9 final version was released with all of its fancy new features, and we can finally put it to the test. This is the conclusive result of whether or not iOS 9 truly improves upon iOS 8 like Apple promised, or if it actually destroys your experience and makes it slower, laggy, and not worth upgrading to. Now, I will be performing a startup test, a Geekbench, a Wi-Fi performance test, and a browser test to compare all of these and see how iOS 9 stacks up to tried and true iOS 8.4.1. Alright, so to begin this test, we're going to go ahead and starting from the iPhone 4S. On the left is 8.4.1, on the right is iOS 9 final build version. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. So both of these are connected to a power source, and remember, all of these devices are freshly restored, so they're completely even, and they have absolutely nothing on them. So in 3, 2, 1. Now, the different build number on iOS 9 final version suggests that some improvements were made under the cover that the GM didn't have, so hopefully we see these improvements reflected in the speed of the older devices. So on the right, it looks like iOS 9 might be getting a lead here, and iOS 8.4.1 was significantly faster than iOS 9. So there you go. I'd say at least 5 seconds faster. So okay. On to the iPhone 5. All right, so same deal, and this time I will start a timer, and let's go ahead and do this. And man, this does take a while. I never realized just how much in seconds it takes. So they're just about even. Well, but iOS 9 was just a little bit faster to boot up on the iPhone 5. On to the 5S. 5S starting. And it looks like iOS 9 might have a slight advantage. When the screen starts getting lighter, that's when, the phone is turning on. All right, so definitely iOS 9 is faster. So about 3 seconds in advance. Definitely more of a noticeable difference as we're moving up in generations. iOS 9 seems to do much better with the newer devices, just as predicted. So cool. On to the 6. All right, so same drill. Here we go. All right, so about 1.5 second faster advantage on iOS 9 versus 8.4.1. Even though it has so many new features to load, there is a definite advantage there. Super cool. All right, so let's go ahead and run some Geekbenches, launch some applications, and feel around the performance of these devices. Because in my previous test, I did this on the GM, and iOS 9 was disappointing. But hopefully, we should see an improvement now with the final build. So with everything set up, let's go ahead and launch some applications, starting with the iPhone 4S. So App Store. As you can see, there is a momentary delay on iOS 9, and still looks like there's a slight advantage to the App Store on 8.4.1. All right, iTunes Store. See, when I let go of iOS 9, the app hangs and then it opens. All right, Maps. So definitely loading faster on iOS 8.4.1. And last, just weather. So definitely 8.4.1. All right, so on to the iPhone 5. Let's start with the maps. Make sure everything's cleared out from here. 8.4.1, loading faster again. So it looks like this is exactly what I saw in the GM. Doesn't look like anything's changed. Oh, iOS 9 loaded the App Store faster. And iOS 8.4.1 loads the iTunes Store faster. So definitely a slight advantage on the 5 and 4S so far in 8.4.1. Let's go to the 5S. Start with the App Store. So 8.4.1 loaded it a little bit faster. Let's go to Maps. Again, 8.4.1 and the iTunes Store. 8.4.1. So I don't really see the huge increase in speed, especially if I go into multitasking. It pops into iOS 8.4.1 a lot faster. However, in iOS 9, you can close apps out a lot faster over here. So one more, let's try weather. Again, 8.4.1. So that leaves me with the Apple A8 chip in the iPhone 6. Let's go ahead and close everything out of these guys. All right, and here we go. So just about the same. Maps. iOS 8.4.1 loaded a little bit faster. Weather. 8.4.1 in iTunes Store. So guys, just by launching applications, 8.4.1 is a clear winner here. So let's go ahead and get into the numbers and go to Geekbench and see how these all stack up in actual numbers. So I'm gonna go ahead and run all of these guys and I'll be right back. So are you guys seeing what I'm seeing here? There is a definite pattern with the Geekbench score coming from 8.4.1 to iOS 9. iOS 8.4 in almost every single case has a higher Geekbench than iOS 9, except on the iPhone 5. They're pretty much almost tied. Everywhere else, it's a little bit better, especially in the multi-core scores. So pretty much this is supporting my claim that iOS 9, not only does it not improve performance, it actually slows your device down and the animations are worse. Like just getting into the multitasking, it's a lot quicker on iOS 8.4.1 in most cases. Like that. There's a certain delay on iOS 9. Okay, so that leaves me with a couple more. I want to go ahead and test the Wi-Fi performance, see if that improved on iOS 9 or got worse. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run a speed test individually. I do have an 802.11 AC router, so these are all compatible with the fastest speeds. And I'm going to do them one at a time, of course, so they don't interrupt each other. All right, so as you guys can see, there is a definite improvement on iOS 9 when it comes to Wi-Fi speed. I was surprised to find this on all devices but the iPhone 5S. The speed did improve when I did do this test. So quite significantly on the older devices, especially on the iPhone 6 Plus as well. So I'm happy to report the Wi-Fi did improve, not only in speed, but also in stability as well. All right, and the very last test I wanted to show you guys is the browser test with HTML5. So in all cases, iOS 9 is a definite improvement in terms of browsing as well. So you'll find more compatibility on websites, and all around it'll be a quicker and slightly better experience. So guys, that's just about it. I wanted to share with this video the performance of iOS 9, and I've done just that. iOS 9 is disappointing when it comes to actual speed and fluidity of animations, opening up applications, and I was disappointed to find that. However, in other areas, iOS 9 does excel, such as Wi-Fi performance and browsing performance. And on newer devices, the device is actually powered on faster. So if you guys are going to be updating to iOS 9, I would definitely do it on a 5S or iPhone 6. However, when it comes to the 4S or iPhone 5, I would hold off for now because the experience does dwindle. It goes down just a little bit. iOS 9.1 is supposedly going to improve that performance. I would personally wait until iOS 9.1 releases in November and then update. Right now, you guys are going to be eating up all of the bugs, all of the main issues with iOS 9, and it'll just get better with time. So I would hold off if you're on an older device. Otherwise, iOS 9 looks promising for the 5S and 6, and I'm happy to report that all around, it's a great experience. Lots of new features without too much of performance suffering. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video and to give you a good idea of what iOS 9 is like running on your device. And leave me a comment down below. What's your personal experience with updating to iOS 9? I'm really curious. I'd like to know. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy iOS 9. Peace.